Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the channel, Orcs Head Magic, and it's Jordan here. This week's deck tech is a special one, folks. This is a Pauper deck tech for the current CreaYTors series. If you haven't had a chance to check out the current series, please follow the link in the description box down below. So for our latest challenge, we had to build a Pauper deck that is under $20 and under 20 ticks. It also has to be somewhat competitive, and it has to relate to us as a channel. So here's our brew, which is Man the Defences with Allies. And this is a 5-colour ally tribal deck, ladies and gentlemen. Reasons it's 5 colours is between us on the channel, we actually probably all specialise in the 5 colours of Magic itself. And on this channel, we especially love janky tribal brews. So without further ado, let's jump straight into the deck tech. The main body of the deck revolves around Ornery Survivalist, Umara Raptor, Grey Pelt Hunter, and Bojuka Brigand. So all these creatures essentially have the same ability that whenever itself or another ally enters the battlefield, the creature is going to get a +1/+1 counter added to it. This means that all our creature spells are essentially casting Thrive on each of them every time another ally enters the battlefield. Umara Raptor has the benefit of having excellent evasion, which is with flying. Bojuka Brigand can't block, which is a bit of a drawback, but it allows us to be aggressive in the start from turn 2. The other half of the creature deck is about developing our board state and maximising the potential of the ally trigger synergy, such as Coralhelm Guide, Okun Battlesinger, and Highland Berserker. Coralhelm Guide is giving us the ability to allow our big powerful creatures that are gaining +1 counters the ability to swing through for unblockable damage. Okun Battlesinger is giving us the ability to give all our allies +1/+0. It also has haste on it, which allows us to also get in for some little bit of extra damage. And Highland Berserker will buff all allies, giving them first strike, which on a penultimate turn, ladies and gentlemen, can make awkward blocking. Our other creatures that are in the deck, we have Kalastria Healer, Ondu Cleric, and Halimar Excavator. Kalastria Healer is allowing us to gain little increments of life, as well as draining our opponent for little bits of life at the same time. Ondu Cleric allows us to gain large chunks of life. Essentially, when he enters the battlefield himself or another ally, you gain X life, where X is the amount of allies that are currently on the battlefield. Halimar Excavator is essentially an alternative win condition of the deck. It allows us to target a player, generally our opponent of course, and they have to mill X cards, where X is the amount of allies that is currently on the battlefield. So that wraps up the creature base of the deck, so let's begin looking at the spells that we have. Our deck is only running 3 spells in the main board, which is Epic Confrontation, Lead the Stampede, and Join the Ranks. Epic Confrontation is our removal spell of the deck. It basically temporarily pumps up our creatures by +1/+2, and then it will fight with another target creature, essentially allowing an ally who's just entered to remove a blocker out of the way, or to make one of our big creatures even bigger and get in for some extra damage. Lead the Stampede is an amazing spell for digging through our deck. We get to look at the top 5 and we get to reveal how many creature cards we want. So essentially we can restock our hand with potentially between 1 and 5 cards for 3 mana. Join the Ranks is essentially a raise the land, but with the extra special ability that the soldiers tokens that enter the battlefield are also allies. It can be casted into instant speed, which of course allows us to get extra triggers on the stack, whether it's to pump up our guys from another 2+1/+1s, or extra mill triggers, or extra life gain, depending on what way you want to play it. With the spells out of the way, let's move on to the lands of the deck. Building a 5-colour land base is very difficult, especially in Pauper, and especially when we're talking under a strict budget. Unfortunately, Ash Barrens is still expensive, and this has been recorded pre-release of Masters 25. So our best utility land is Transguild Promenade. This allows us to tap for 1 colour of any mana, and its only drawback is that we have to pay 1 as it enters the battlefield, otherwise we have to sacrifice it, so it's an amazing turn 2 play, or later on as you draw into it. We then run a cornucopia of life gain lands. This allows us to get a good range in the mana base of 5 colours, and we are using Jungle Hollow, Rugged Highlands, Scoured Barrens, Swiftwater Cliffs, Thornwood Falls, and Tranquil Cove. Evolving Wilds has given us the ability to obviously fetch a basic and fix our hand as we need it. And finally, to round it out, we have one of each basic land. Without further ado, let's begin looking at the sideboard. First cards in our sideboard is that we have one extra copy of both Lead the Stampede and Epic Confrontation. This is just to give us a full play set in the main deck if we need it, such as going up against counter heavy strategies, or for generally strategies that are going to involve a lot of walls or a lot of the creatures on the board that we need removing. Duress is allowing us to hand attack our opponent for a non-land non-creature spell, which could slow the momentum of our deck, which we do not want to happen. This sort of happens in Delver decks and mono black control. Electrickery is our mini board wipe, allowing us to overload it for just the cost of 2 mana, which will deal 1 damage to each of our opponent's creatures. So essentially getting rid of elves and any token strategies that you can see flowing around. Negate is allowing us to obviously counter non-creature spells such as removal spells and any enchantments and other such things. Smash Smithereen is obviously dealing with artifacts, and it also allows us to sneak in an extra 3 damage, which is also beneficial to us. So you want to run this of course against the affinity decks and Tron alike and so on and so forth. Journey Nowhere is allowing our deck to remove early threats such as Gurmag Angler or other reanimated creatures from any reanimation decks. Our final spells in the sideboard is God's Willing. This is allowing us obviously to protect our creatures. This is from excessive board removal type of decks such as Mono Black Control and Mono Red. It also allows us to get through for extra damage against mono colour opponents. And it also has the one tiny extra benefit, which is allowing us to scry 1 whenever we cast it. That is our deck tech, ladies and gentlemen. I have personally fallen in love with this deck. I've played it several times on mtgo already. It's been an absolute joy to play, and a lot of my opponents have said, wow, you've cracked 5 colour mana base, which is also sweet. So obviously I'll get some gameplay videos coming up shortly. Just a quick reminder, if you like what we do on the channel, please click the subscribe button and click the bell icon to keep up to date with the channel. And thank you all for joining us on our latest deck tech. I have been your host Jordan here from Orcs Head Magic, and I am signing off.